Hey everybody. So let's go ahead and share experiences and ask questions. We presented that information, but we also did some exploration in how to inhale the oils and apply it to the different conditions. And so let's go ahead and open it up to shares and questions. Unmute, type in, and then from there we'll do a little bit of a practice.
Yeah, go ahead, Denise.
Hey, Denise.
Oh, I enjoyed the class that we did this weekend a lot, and I used it with the sinus vagal tone on my sinuses last night, and I
Hmm.
remembered to do it with the materialization breath, you
Hmm.
know, and focusing on that. And I'm just looking forward to working with that more. I just do feel like it's going to be really impactful, and to hear I want to re-listen to this class.
Oh, good.
So thank you so much.
So, and over the weekend you were struggling a little bit with like being sick. How's that feeling?
Um, well, it's I think it's the antibiotics that have my stomach a little bit queasy.
Yeah.
But my hands don't hurt anymore. My hands were actually hurting, Greg.
Hmm.
And just it's receded up to my cheekbones, and around my nose a little bit still, where there's quite a bit
Hmm.
of pain right there.
Hmm.
But I think overall the medication I think is helping. I don't know if I could have kicked it completely without the medication.
Yeah. Like, did they give you a diagnosis or no?
They said she said sinus infection, and when I spoke with the pharmacist when I picked up the medication, he said he kind of felt that if it was just straight up like amoxicillin, he said for a bad sinus infection, you'd almost have to do repeat doses. Just
Yeah.
as you said, it's a
Yeah.
difficult area to get to.
Right.
Um, he thought but I had such digestive problems. I was just so sick. I'm not totally sure really completely what it was, to be honest with you. And I think
Sure.
maybe long term, I had a sinus infection, and then just like you've said, I've had a little bit of stress on it, and um,
Yeah. And we can have very like long-term sinus infections. Like, even in the lungs, there can be long-term like low-grade infection that's just there. And so when you start resolving it, hopefully it starts making him feel a lot better.
I could see where the German chamomile and the golden
Mhm.
seal were really significant. I just needed to be
Yeah.
on them sooner than
Yeah, yeah.
where
Well,
it got a hold of me.
especially with the history of COVID and then, pneumonia floating around, earlier in the year. And it's one of those things where you just don't want to mess with any of it. So, of course we can use these things to support the healing process and everything, but there's a time and a place to go to the doctor and say, you know, what's going on and
I
I
felt
agree with you.
I felt like it was a gift, us having this weekend together, and we learned so much through you. You can't retire.
Oh,
I'm
you're
so
so sweet.
sorry. You're not going to be
Yeah.
able to retire. We as boomers are going to need you. I've had a glimpse of the medical community, and we
Right,
just don't want to go
right.
there right now. Okay.
Right.
That being said, I'll be quiet and let somebody else speak. Okay.
Okay.
I say we do a little more rogue off the books like Saturday stuff.
I'm gonna say that too.
Feel free to type in the chat, guys. Still feel free to raise your hand, but I think Greg's gonna run us through a process right now. So
Yeah, let's get some oil choices here. And so part of what we were doing is on the weekend for just a recap is, a lot of times we talk about like, oh, put it on as a body tonic, put it on as an ointment, or we do sustained inhalation. And a lot of times with sustained inhalation, we'll follow a pattern, right? So here, you know, again, just revisiting that it's not just that we want to follow a pattern, is that we really want to open ourselves up to the healing process and just not mechanically go through a pattern going, I'm going to inhale this pattern mechanically and it's going to produce a result, right? We really want to help engage the healing processes and the healing function of the body. And so by practicing awareness, right, by practicing awareness, we help to stimulate that. And so, we did practices with, instead of going directly to the sinuses, like what Denise is having, we started with like the face, and then we went into the sinuses, and then, maybe a little bit of a chakra or something. We did it a little bit differently, and then eventually we did a version with also using the materialization breath. And so let's do something like that again. And um, since Denise spoke up and started talking about her sinus issues, let's choose something out of this realm. Let's choose one of the following: rosemary verbena, basil, ravent-sara, eucalyptus radiata, red myrtle, bay laurel, neoli, peppermint, and Siberian fir. And then also a blend could be sinus support. So we're going to try different ways of impacting the sinuses. And I say, one of the things that we were doing is we were experimenting, right? So let's do this. Notice how your sinuses are. And, normally we'd go through and we treat like the ajna, the throat minor, the jaws, the back heart, the front solar plexus, and the back solar plexus, right? So let's first just try and see what the chakra feels like, just jumping in and doing what we're going to do, right? So whatever oil you have, put your awareness on the ajna and just start taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then let that go and just notice how that feels. Now, one of the things that we experimented with over the weekend for sinuses is instead of going directly to the ajna or directly to the sinuses, a lot of times if we relax the face, it improves the sinus function. So instead of going to the ajna, instead of going directly to the sinuses, be aware of your face and start taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And then after about 20 or so breaths, you just let go and let it incubate. Again, your awareness is on your face. And then just let that go. Go deeper into the sinuses. Like really feel into your sinuses, wherever you feel the discomfort. Inhale with your awareness in that area. And then just let it go. Now let's go back to the ajna, that area between the eyebrows. Let's see how that feels now. Nice, long, slow, deep breaths with your awareness on the ajna. And then just pause and be still. So reflect on how each of those pieces felt. Like, how did it feel? Whichever one really stood out to you, again, you're going to put your awareness there, but now we're going to utilize the materialization breath. So if it was the face, if it was the sinuses themselves, like a particular spot, or if it was the ajna, you're going to hold the bottle to your chest, chin down. Your awareness is going to be on that area, right? So as you inhale, your awareness is on that area. Nice, long, slow, deep breath. Hold your breath. And then up, exhale. And then down, your awareness is on that area. Inhale. Up, exhale. Down, your awareness is on the area. Inhale. Up, exhale. Down. Do about 5 or 6 more. Let's practice that one more time. Before we engage, your awareness is on that area in your face, your sinuses, or the ajna. You're practicing awareness there. The more awareness we have, the deeper the level of healing. Okay, chin down to your chest. You're inhaling into that area with your oil. Hold your breath, head up, exhale. Down, inhale, up, exhale. Down, inhale with your awareness on that area. Up, exhale. Do about 5 or 6 more. Notice how you feel. Let's go ahead and share experiences and ask questions. And maybe we'll do another round on another area, but let's just see how this goes first. You can unmute or type in, go ahead and fire away.
And I'll make it so you can type into the big group as well, but just be aware if you type to the big group, it will go to everybody. If you need a private message, it's that little blue box. Okay, I have super weird, but I kind of want to share because I want to see what's going on. I feel like my back head just started like expelling or doing something crazy, like more than even usual with any materialization breath. Am I making that up?
No, it could be. Yeah, sure. Make your head feel better, make it feel
I mean, I feel dizzy. Oh, that's better. I was working those 3 spots for the sinuses.
Mhm. Maybe also process, like, anytime there's a thing there, there's also homeostatic emotion and things, stress, and looks like it was more like emotion and stress than it was the actual sites. Like, it could be something associated with that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it should make you feel
Yeah,
better.
as we sit here more, I
Right.
feel like I'm feeling more normal.
Okay.
Like maybe it's just like,
Fleshing some
Yeah.
things out. Right. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, after, was a little loud there. After sleeping for those 2 sessions we had to start with, I was kind of embarrassed about that. But with this one, I was looking at or I had my
Mhm.
attention on the ajna. I've got such I'm in a good willful space now.
Oh, good.
Work with that.
Mhm.
I feel comfortable
Hmm.
and just, I feel like I got something new going on.
Oh,
Just
good.
with something here,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
not quite, with it yet, but it's a kind of like, almost like a new sense of confidence is emerging or something like that.
Hmm.
So
Nice.
that was really kind of like, I'm okay with that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, really. So it's
Nice. Good,
kind of
good.
sweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
yeah, I find this putting attention on like something and the materialization
Mhm.
breath. It's amplifying something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
kicking those processes even like.
Yeah. It's amplifying the therapeutic process by far.
So
Yeah.
with that being the will center, then that's kind of
Well,
probably where that's coming from.
anytime you do the materialization breath, it is refining the aspect of will.
Oh,
And so,
Regardless of where,
yeah, regardless of where you're putting it.
okay.
And so there's the physical will, emotional will, mental will, and then spiritual will. So eventually it's refining it more to spiritual will. And so if there is any sort of you could say like issue in like with the mind or the emotions and the nervous system, like doing the materialization breath actually helps to resolve that, or at least diminish it somewhat. It's like if you are in pain, for example, and you're like, oh, I really want this to go away, and you start kind of wrestling with it. There's almost like an adversarial thing between the mind and body. Like the mind is wanting something, and the body is like, you're not listening to me, and like there becomes this like little, we don't do it really consciously, but I mean, it can happen, and so like the idea of integrating the materialization breath is you're putting light into the area and it's stimulating the healing processes of the mind and helping it to go more into the intuitive side of the mind. But you kind of tapped into, like, you're feeling something about your will. There is something about the will that's also refining that, where the like the will is not fighting back on the healing process, kind of. And it's not usually something that's conscious. It's usually more of like a protective mechanism, or something like that. But we have all kinds of little weird nuances that, if the body doesn't feel safe, you know the body will kind of tense up, and not it's not that it's not allowing the healing process. I'd say the thing is the body sees everything in short term. Like it's trying to do short term healing, where really that might be okay, but long term healing is not necessarily something that the body thinks out. Like a good example of that is whiplash. You injure your neck, you go through and you hit a car or whatever, and your neck snaps around a little bit. Your body goes, okay, tighten up, to protect the spine. And if there's any excess bleeding, let's reduce the bleeding so that we protect the neck. And so for 24, 48 hours, that's actually kind of beneficial. Like, if there's any injury to the spine or anything, it keeps the body from moving too much so that you further injure that area. But then after 48 hours, it's not really helpful. That's the beginning of whiplash. Like the body doesn't shut it down to go, okay, now we're okay. We've splinted it for 48 hours. We're getting better, or it's not as injured, or we went to the doctor or whatever, and like, you're kind of starting to have the healing process. You're starting to reduce the inflammation. The body doesn't go, oh, it's okay now. Let's shut that off and let's think long term. The body is just still thinking right now, right now, right now, right now. And so what happens is then we get these weird kind of mechanisms that for long-term healing, again, like you almost have to override those initial responses in the body to heal the body on a long-term strategy versus the body just trying to heal something right here, right now, right here, right now. Like, another good example of this is, say you have a joint that maybe is a little compromised, or the cartilage has thinned down a little bit, and so it's becoming a little bit pre-arthritic. And so the body, for trying to keep you from injuring that joint further, will start to tighten the muscles up around that joint, which keeps you from moving it as much and then allows you to not injure it further. But that same clamping down on those muscles also dehydrates the cartilage more, and the arthritis becomes accelerated. And then another way that the body tries to compensate for you not to move the joint around is it starts generating spurs. Like, so it's like, okay, if I spur all this area up, that will reduce the movement so that we protect the joint. And then you start having pain because of bone spurs. But at first, the body is trying to protect that joint. And so the body sees things as just trying to get through the moment, just trying to get through, got to survive for the next hour. Gotta, it's not thinking about, when I'm 80, this is gonna, not be nice. It's just thinking about, got to get through this next, little bit. And so in that, sometimes the body's initial responses might be beneficial, but eventually, long term, in chronic conditions, they're not as beneficial. And we have to override some of that. So the materialization breath almost kind of shifts your body into like a more like long term process of healing rather than just right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right now.
Right. It just wants to maintain that next
Yeah,
level step
exactly.
type thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another way of saying it. Yeah. Like it's wanting to just maintain whatever, like let's just go on lockdown and try to maintain whatever level of health we have, And so yeah. Yeah. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Like the we think the body's always doing like the best thing for us at all times, and it tries to do the best thing for you right then. It doesn't really think super long term. Yeah. 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 It's more reactionary, I guess is a good way of saying it. Right.
Nailing it.
Yeah.
Like my experience, like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's a weird thing because like to our mind, that kind of doesn't make sense. But it's like what I say, like how your mind sees things and how your body sees things, it's very different. The body is just like, gotta get through this, gotta get through that door, gotta sit down. Like it's just really constantly like that. And the more that we calm things down the body might start healing and regulating itself, which is really kind of a long-term process, the healing, like especially real deep healing. But the body doesn't think long term the way the mind does. And so what starts happening is our mind starts thinking short term because it's so influenced by the body. That's part of like even the idea of breaking breaking out of the thought processes of the body. Like even the idea of auric programming is to really break out of just like kind of body thinking and sensory thinking, which is the sympathetic nervous system and intellect, and starting to go beyond that and starting to go, okay, what about long-term strategies? What about more intuition? What about breaking out of these patterns? Like, it's where intellect's always thinking about the past. That's the way the body and the brain thinks. Like, ugh, the past has happened before. What about this? It's having to make adjustments and just get through the moment. So that's why the body sees trauma very differently than the mind. Yeah, very differently. Kind of interesting, huh?
Yeah, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
As someone shared, I'm more congested, LOL, like at the beginning, and something thick is beginning to run. Guess it's not surprising. I haven't seen blue sky in days with the smoky haze. It's
Oh,
those fires in Canada. It's
oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Probably with something like that is the body's trying to flush out the stuff that's like come in your nasal passages with that. Yeah. Yeah, I was around a couple big fires in mountains, and oh man, talk about mucus. Like and it wasn't just like, oh, I have a stuffy nose. It was like deep mucus, not just there, but it was also in the lungs. And it's just again a body's um protective mechanism, but then at some point you're like, okay, we've protected the nose and the sinuses and the lungs so much that I can barely breathe because there's so much mucus there. But it protected the mucous membranes and the lining. And so, yeah, you got to kind of keep it like moving and yeah.
they said, yeah, it's like it built up to protect the
Yeah,
airways.
it's totally what it's doing. And kind of necessary. Like I get it, but then at some point you're like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. Easy. Easy. Yeah. 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 Boy, I forgot about those fires up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those are the shares that came in so far.
Well, how about let me look at the list here. How about we squeeze in just a little bit more? Well, since we're talking about mucus, about the mucus blend or anula, hyssop, mugwort, rosemary verbena, ravensara, pine, myrtle, terebinth, myrrh, or some form of eucalyptus.
And I'm guessing you're looking at one of the lines?
Line
or-
3.
Line 3, okay.
And I think kit for purchase you had hyssop decumbens
Yes, yes.
Oh.
and eucalyptus leaves.
And Ravent Sarah.
Ravensara. Yeah.
Great. Like, yep.
All right, got the line here for you guys. I'm gonna paste those oils.
Okay, so we just did the sinuses, but we're doing the sinuses in a different way. But also, you could look at the throat and you could also look at the lungs. And so, since we just did the sinuses, let's try doing a little something with the throat. If you are like the person who said the congestion in the sinuses. You could still focus on your sinuses if you'd like. Okay, so practice awareness on your throat for just a second. If you feel more mucus or mm, something uncomfortable up in the sinuses or the face, or if you want to go down into the lungs. Since we just have a few minutes, let's have you troubleshoot. Where do you feel it? Lungs, throat, sinuses here. Put your awareness on that area. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. You're taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths. And you're just pausing and being still. Okay, so you can do awareness, and then we're going to do the materialization breath. So awareness on whatever the area was, and then bottle down or bottle to the chest, chin down. Inhale into with your awareness on that area. Do 8 or 9 of the materialization breaths. And then just be still. And squeeze in one more round. Your awareness is there. Inhale with your awareness on that area. Hold your breath up, exhale. Okay. I hope that felt good. And, we'll be revisiting this in some of the other classes and things like that. But I think it was a good weekend and lots of good experiments and things for you to play with. So take care, you guys.